and I have decided to do a mini series on topics that people have brought up that they would like some help with. So the first one is in regards to Leilani. She asked, "How do I get rid of negative energy?" And so that's a loaded question. And where I would start with is just acknowledge yourself first for having a high capacity for awareness. Okay, so just in that space of acknowledgement. And I'm going to give a little definition of acknowledgement, first of all, because not a lot of people use this word. A lot of people talk about gratitude, which is being grateful for what's been like provided to you. Acknowledgement is the space of knowing that you're the creator of everything. Okay, so everything that's coming into your life, you're acknowledging it. And then also just acknowledging the energy, your capacities, other people, and where they're at. Okay, cool. So acknowledgement, it's one of my favorite words. I probably have about 5 that are huge to me and they're game changers. So that's the first one, is acknowledgement that you have high awareness. And then I'm looking at my notes because I really want to make sure that I get to everything. Acknowledge what you're aware of. What is it? So it might be a multitude of things. So first of all, we call it negative energy, which is really general. Are you feeling sad, depressed? Are you feeling angry? Actually find out what it is, because all emotions are neutral. Okay, so they're energy in motion, and they all have an invitation that come with them. It's how we utilize that invitation or how we react to that invitation that actually decides whether it's constructive for us or generative for us, or it's destructive. Okay, so one of my favorite ones is anger. Anger houses within it many times the energy of a demand. It's a demand for change, or it's a demand for movement. And so if we try to get rid of that energy, it's going to pop up somewhere else. It's demanding that we move into a new position. And so we have to ask, like, what is that and what's possible there? So that's the next piece, okay? So first of all is acknowledgement of your high awareness. Second of all, it's acknowledgement of what is that energy? Like, so what is it? Like, getting clear. And then the third one is really asking, getting and asking questions. So what is this? So first of all, we asked, what is it in the regards of the emotion, but asking like beyond that, like, what is this that I'm aware of that's landed inside my body, this energy that's moving through and that's like locked in, right? So is it mine? Is it guilt that's coming up for something? And then like going further and asking, is the guilt even something that I should feel guilty about or resolve or anything, right? Not should, but like, is it giving me an invitation to resolve something? Or is it even not yours? Like, are you so aware that you're picking up somebody else's emotions in your house? Are you picking up someone's emotions that you were on the phone with, or even somebody that you haven't talked to? Many of us have such highly attuned awareness that we're picking up whole like factions of people, so groups of people or communities of people, and the disturbance within them. Okay, so having an awareness and getting clear on, is this even mine? Okay, and if it is a whole group or if it's somebody else, like the next question is, what can I do with this? Is there anything I should do with this? Right? Okay, so it does take a little bit of time, because these emotions or these feelings or what we're calling negative energy is coming not just to be disengaged and gotten rid of, it's coming many times as an invitation to have greater awareness and to know what's pulling you along. How cool is that, right? So like getting clear on, can I do anything? So let's say the political climate, or even it's interesting, when we went into in the Midwest, that cold snap where everybody had to stay in the house, there was this heaviness that came over, and it was a whole group of people who just felt trapped, right? They were trapped in their houses for a couple of days, and there was like this frenetic energy. So when you're aware of that, first of all, you know, what can you do about it? What can you do about it for yourself? Are you willing to like find creative ways of being in the house? If you're aware that like you're actually invited to maybe do a post for other people, here's an interesting idea that we're doing while we're trapped in the house, you know, or you might just allow. So this is, I love the word acknowledgement and then allowance. If your awareness is so great that it's crippling because your allowance is too small. Allowance, when you don't have great allowance, it looks like this. You take responsibility for everybody and yourself being the best that you can possibly be and making the right choices. And so you take responsibility, and in there is this hidden judgment that there's wrongness out there, right? And you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to be judged. You don't want to judge somebody else. And yet, like, there is a space of judgment when we're like taking on responsibility for somebody else, because they're all infinite beings. And do you believe that? So only take what's true for you. As anytime you're listening to me, only take what's true for you. But I come from the point of view that every single one of us is is an infinite being housed inside of a body and outside of it. Like, we radiate way beyond our bodies. And so that's why many times we're aware of somebody who's across the state, in another state, or even in another country, because our energy like comes out and pulses out and it speaks to each other, right? So asking, see, you can just do this. You can ask for your allowance to be greater than your awareness, and really ask the universe to guide you and show you how that can be. And then the other space is sometimes you need to reach out to a friend and say, ask me some questions that'll help me to let this go. Really have friends in your life that ask you the questions that allow you to move to a new space rather than dig you deeper in the quicksand that you're in. Because a lot of times we have people around us that are quite happy to empathize, which when you're empathizing in it, you actually just get deeper in the muck, in the poop, right? Really, I love to have people who don't empathize with me. They can sense me, and yet they're this invitation of coming out, of being my infinite self and coming out of it rather than staying in the muck, okay? So what are you inviting around you? Are you inviting people that constantly help you to be in it, or are you helping you to get out of it? Yeah, so how much fun can you have with that? Acknowledgement, the allowance, asking whether it's yours, other people's, or even factions of other people. What can you do with it? And then asking for your allowance to be greater than your awareness. Another thing is moving beyond those energetics. I have some here actually. There's things like plant-based medicines, right? It's how the earth would like to support us. And the earth actually has constituents in these essential oils that combine with our biochemistry to support us. And it's science and energy at the same time. And so there's certain oils that are really amazing for emotions, not just physical things in our body, but emotions. So like this one is my very favorite. It's passion, and it has several different pure essential oils in it. It does have cinnamon, which is one of my favorites. So that's really great if you're feeling negative and sad and just down. It helps to boost that. Wild orange is another. Serenity or lavender. Those are some soothing ones. And so whether you're wanting to be picked up into a brightness, like lemon, wild orange, passion, or three of those. And then if you'd like to just be a little bit more at peace, serenity and lavender, a couple. So that's some real things that you can do as well. But please use the questions, acknowledgement and awareness as well. And then my third and final piece, no, I actually have two more pieces, so 3 and 4, are two different things that you get to do with your body. One is the breath of life. It truly changes everything. And so taking a moment to really deep breathe, and you don't need to stay with it for a long time. Even if you just like straighten your spine and you take 3 deep breaths wherever you're at. And I would encourage you, if you can, to either stare out at nature or close your eyes during it, but really deep and all the way through. So most of us only breathe into here. And really what you want to do is breathe below your belly button and feel it filling up that whole area. It brings you back to your power. Okay, so I'm just going to do one. And it's amazing. I didn't even blow out all the way, but it is amazing what it does for the shoulders as well. It really gets in and it like gives you that sense of things being pulled out. I really like to do it with, well, I love Melaleuca tea tree oil. I like to do it with some oils on my hands too, and just breathe them in. So that the vapors of the oils actually go in up through your nose into the lungs, and then the lungs bring it to the blood and it goes throughout your entire body. So how cool is that? So breathing essential oils. And then my final one, so that was number 3, is movement. And there is a study, I wish I could quote it right now, a TED Talk about the scientific proof of moving into a power pose. But I've always been showing people the posture of receiving. And so it is one of the power poses. And I want to show you from the space that you go into and to the space and what it does for your body. So would you even try it? Obviously you're at home, you're not even on a video. So would you try doing this pose and see how it feels for you? And I would love your feedback on using these tools and knowing that the ones at the end are probably the fastest ones. And so you might even want to use the power posture of receiving, the power pose, the essential oils and the breathing first, and then possibly move into the questions, acknowledgement, and allowance, because you'll be in a greater space of receiving when you get to those. Okay, so here we go for moving into the space of receiving. And that's my painting in the background. Anyways, I like to show people where you're coming from. So energetically, when you're in the space where you feel like you're in negative energy, generally what we do with our spirit is we get really small and we get into this energetic feeling, and it actually encases our muscles in an entanglement, right? So you feel your muscles tensing, you sense your emotions coming down into this depressed or pressed down state, overwhelmed state, negative, whatever. And so we're in this energetic space of this. And so if you move from here to, let me move backward, to here, and really move into the open heart space and up. And that is, I love doing it. It is the posture of receiving, because receiving, and if you connect to the space of abundance, it is the space of openness, knowing that we're connected to all that is, whether you believe it's God, the universe, the consciousness, the collective consciousness. It's bringing our body, our heart, and our eyes to connect to that symbiotic receiving and giving space and opening our arms. And in that space, the other thing I like to say to people is meditation is the space of receiving. It's the space to receive. And then you move into prayer, your ask. What is your ask? Even if you don't have words for what your ask is, that's beyond the negative energy, that is like the greater thing that you're searching for. Are you willing to just ask your heart to say what it is energetically? And if you do have words, be willing to ask for even the most inconceivable things, the greatest, most impossible things that you would like to have manifested in your life. Be willing to put that request up, knowing that you're in this space of openness to receiving it. I would love to know how that works for you. and any questions that you have. Even I barely touched on the fact that emotions are neutral, and that they're constantly guideposts and invitations to a greater space of receiving and living, but it's totally true. And have a lot of fun with it. Any feedback is greatly appreciated.